The research that I've conducted here concerns the salaries of mayors and how these salaries may impact how a city or a municipality may perform. Existing literature on the topic suggests that there is, indeed, a connection between the two variables, where higher mayoral salaries will lead to greater levels of municipal performance. Much of this literature, though, focuses too exclusively upon using local government expenditure to determine city performance. Higher expenditures mean higher performance values. My research therefore seeks to amend this issue, serving to address the topic of performance in a more diverse fashion. However, even though my measure of municipal performance will be different, I still hypothesize that there will be a correlation between salary and performance. The research is important because the way that cities are run has a great influence in shaping Americans' livelihoods. A well run city which performs as necessary and fulfills the needs of those who reside within it will vastly improve people's quality of life over a poorly run city. Therefore, knowing what incentivizes local governments to improve municipalities for their constituents can result in a more productive populace. Theoretically, higher mayoral salaries should provide this driving force, as better wages makes the position more attractive, in turn leading to better candidates running for mayor and generating incumbents' desire to hold the office. Holding the office means convincing voters to give the candidate their votes, leading the candidate to improve the city for the voters. A city thus would be within reason to raise the mayor's salary if it seeks to improve its performance. This project defines performance using mainly economic indicators such as employment growth, per capita income growth, wage growth, and poverty rate. I then use these variables, as well as the variable of population growth rate, to form an index which should better describe city performance. Economic indicators were primarily utilized because the literature supports the notion that what voters care about the most at the ballot box is the economy. So what matters to the voters the most affects their lives the most, and mayors seeking to cater to voters' needs would in turn focus their efforts mainly on the economy. I myself gathered mayoral salary data from all across the country by accessing local publications within each state. States that offered the most easily accessible mayoral salary data in regards to the state cities thus became more represented within the dataset. But that shouldn't too adversely affect any sort of outcome. This research concerns the performance of individual cities based upon local government decisions, which should be able to operate largely without interference from state governments, at least in regards to how much mayors are getting paid. Salary data on these cities was collected for the year 2018, as was the data for the dependent variables, where both census information and the information from the American Community Survey's 5-year surveys was accessed. Though existing research has concluded that there is a link between how much mayors earn and how the cities that they govern perform, my results suggested a different outcome. My hypothesis echoed this sentiment that there should be a connection between the two variables. Thus, the null hypothesis would state the contrary, that there is no relation between mayoral salaries and performance. Proving my hypothesis right would mean needing to be able to reject the null hypothesis in order to support my own. However, when a regression test was run between my municipal performance index and the mayoral salary variable, it showed that there was actually no significant relation. Mayoral salary scored a p-value of 0.596, significantly higher than the 95% confidence alpha level of 0.05. Even when accounting for another independent variable, that being the actual population of these cities that the mayors are in charge of, the mayoral salary variable is still not significant. This means that the null hypothesis cannot be rejected. The mayoral salary variable was also put through Pearson's R-test against the Municipal Performance Index, as well as the 5 individual variables which constitutes it. As one can see, mayoral salary does not meet the correlation threshold when compared to the index. In fact, only a small correlation exists with just a single one of these variables, that being the employment growth rate variable. This data suggests that there is no correlation between the salaries of mayors and the performance of their cities. Since there is neither a significant relationship between salary and performance, nor any sort of correlation, there is no way to reject the null hypothesis. I must then conclude that my hypothesis proved to be incorrect, and that mayoral salaries have no meaningful impact upon how a city performs. This conclusion raises some interesting policy questions, such as whether or not cities which pay hefty sums of cash to their mayors would be better suited in allocating those funds elsewhere. My results would certainly suggest that such a decision may be wise. If a municipality is seeking to improve upon the way it performs, it will have to look towards other alternatives than compensating its mayor with a more lucrative salary.